Well, hello. We are going live this evening talking all about motherhood and money. And I know that this is such an important topic. I could literally feel it in my body. Usually when I do lives, I don't get any sort of nervousness. I'm really looking forward to the conversations that I'm having. And today I feel in my body this ping. Hello, come on in and ask any questions that may pop up or that come to mind as I'm talking. But I was basically saying that this is such a powerful topic. And usually I stream through these lives and I'm like, all right, good, I'm amped, I'm excited. But today I feel in my bones, in my being, how important it is to speak about this and this subject and to breathe life into it. So earlier today, I shared something to my stories about a mom that had 2 3-month-old twins, and she was crying because she had to go back to work the next day, and she didn't feel that she was ready to do that. And it broke my heart. It still is. And it made me feel so much for that mom and so much for all moms about kind of the life that we have to live in birthing, creating, and then all of a sudden back into this patriarchal system of how it is to work, what it looks like, and what we have to do. And yes, we could be totally upset and outraged and, the system's broken and all of that is truth. And this may not be a popular thing to say, but it is about us to actually create that change. Nobody else is going to make that change except for you, except for me, except for each single one of us speaking our truth, stating what we are feeling, what we are thinking, and creating a new pattern and a new wave. We can't expect society or this person or this company to understand. We actually have to facilitate that change. And it sounds hard and it sounds like, how could that be? And I just wish that this was something I didn't have to worry about. But that is what is necessary and what needs to be birthed in this modern day working world is motherly wisdom. Motherly wisdom, the role that literally requires so many different juggling of hats and balancing and flowing and many jobs in one day, in 1 hour. Who better to think tank a new way of world, a new way of making money, a new way of being and operating in this working world than a mother? And so to me, this is an empowering place. This is a place to say, actually, this is a new paradigm that's being created, that not only do we have to have the opportunity not just to be present moms, but actually to also work our passions, actually step out into the world, make money, receive in this feminine way, and no longer have to live through this testosterone driven schedule. Inside Abundant Moms, which is one of the courses that I've created, there's all this talk about cyclical living and how the working world is created on a 24-hour cycle, and women are on a monthly cycle. And so we go through the seasons of fall and winter and spring and summer. And there's certain times for us to show up in this modality, come onto Instagram Live, and there's certain times for us where we are to retreat and read and rest. And it's not meant to be energy producing, kick back into work, grind all the time. And so this is this new wave and this new creation that we're bringing in. And I actually am so passionate about this that I have a whole bunch of notes. So if you see me looking down, this is what I'm looking at. And motherhood and money are huge staples and pillars in this, but it's also about mindset. And a separate little tangent is that I still do not have a really proper place to put my ring light, and so I just grabbed something, ran up the stairs and put my ring light inside of it, and it actually is mall money, a literal piggy bank that I've had since I was a kid that now my daughters use, and my ring light is stuck inside of that. And then right before this, I sprayed money spray, jackpot spray. And so the vibes, the essences of money are all around, and wanting these messages to come through, wanting this wisdom to have a place. And so here we are. whether you're watching this live, whether you're going to watch this tomorrow, in 5 years from now, it is all very, very relevant. And the key is that you have the power to transform and make change. I'm going to lead you on a journey and a storytelling. So, my favorite thing to do is storytelling. It's authentic and it's true. And I had a very established, I would say, corporate career. And I established my place in the corporation, in business, and in leadership at a very young age. I was awarded 30 under 30 business professionals in New York. I was awarded multiple promotions and ended up leaving the role that I left when most people actually retired from it. And so I was able to really learn and absorb so much from being in a fast-paced, corporate ladder climb, and also, learn a lot of things about myself, about how to operate and run a company, how to be a leader, and also things I wanted to totally let go of. And I always knew that it was in my soul, it was in my being, it was in my blood that I wanted to be a mother. And I remember telling my boss at the time that I was pregnant, and I was actually terrified about it, because in my mind, in my heart, I knew I was never going to be working the same way ever again. I knew that in my soul. And so almost when I was telling him, it almost felt like I was resigning in that moment, even though I wasn't. That really is kind of how it felt. It was I have to get this off my chest, and I have to let him know I'm pregnant. This is happening. And at the moment, I could see it as being very poignant because, like I said, I had known from that moment on it was always going to be different. And of course, I got this standard 3-month maternity leave, which is insane. And I probably added on some vacation weeks and things like that. But I knew that as my leave was coming to an end, that there was just no way I was going back to working the same way that I had. And I worked for a retail real estate company. And so all the holidays that people experience in a normal job, I did not experience. I would work Thanksgiving night, and I was on call on, Christmas Eve, and, all of those type of holidays that people get off are the biggest holidays in retail. And so that was a huge part of my life, working weekends, working nights. And there was many, many things that I loved about it, and creating community and cultivating, change and, all these really, really great things. But I knew that as a mother, that was not going to be my priority anymore. And so I didn't have fear during my maternity leave, but I began to really think about okay, how is it that I want to show up in this working capacity? And it was always ingrained in me that I was going to integrate both worlds. I was going to integrate my motherhood and myself as a mother with my work. I am very passionate about helping others. I'm very passionate about having a passion outside of motherhood. And so I always knew that that's something I couldn't turn off about myself. Very extroverted, gravitate towards people. People gravitate towards me. I wanted to immerse my children in that. And so when it came up time to have my maternity leave over, my boss was basically okay, you could resign from the position. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that yet. I actually am going to call the CEO of the company. And I'm actually going to see, how it is that this person handles it. And basically I gave him a phone call, and he answered the call, and he was like, look, whatever it is that you're about to say, you're not going anywhere. Work with your baby, extend your maternity leave, whatever it is that you want to do, figure it out. And so I really give a lot of blessings and gratitude to that person, because I was able to do just that. And so from that moment on, I was doing a hybrid of work from home, but I would also bring my baby into the office with me. And I had a pack and play next to my desk. I had, a carrier I would strap to me as I was conducting tours and leading sales meetings. And I also was nursing her while I was interviewing candidates. And honestly, it was some of the most joyous memories that I have. My team wrapped so much love around her, and they got their work done, but also loved having this break and this baby in the office, and it brought joy. And actually productivity was rising from that and not declining from that. And so these are things for us to think about when we're looking at like this modern day world where it's like, actually, that's going to affect, a work output. Well, really, is bringing joy into someone's life going to make them work less? And well, actually, sparking them with fun and creativity is actually going to turn that fuel on inside of them. And so, as in any story that I share, this is always for the purposes of you thinking to yourself, what is my story? How can I rewrite the story? And whether it is that you just conceived a baby or your baby is, in college at this point, it really doesn't matter. It's all about the energy, but it's about the fact that you have the power to make a change and a transformation. It's just simply about speaking that truth. Even if your voice shakes, even if you're fearful about it, it really is about showing up and saying, hey, this is what works for me. This is what doesn't work for me. So as always, stories that come from me are meant as a reflection for you. And I just want to reiterate again, there's so many times in society that we think that, okay, now that I'm a mother, I cannot work. And trust me when I tell you that when I left my corporate job willingly, I always knew inside of my bones that I was going to be running my own company, CEO, all the good things. I was literally told time and time again that I had to pick a lane. I had to pick a lane and say, am I going to be a stay-at-home mother or am I going to work my career? Am I going to be a stay-at-home mother or am I going to work my career? I remember many conversations that I had that circled around that. I remember a male coach that I had who was much older than I was still much older than I am. And he was saying that like his wife found it nearly impossible to work and mother and like that, basically best of luck to me. And so for a little bit, that story ingrained in my mind until I was like, hell no, I actually am going to trailblaze this and I'm going to figure out how to be present and great at both things. And so this is the time to integrate your presence as a mother with your presence with your passion, and actually how those things are not separate. They are actually integrated and how they each fuel each other. And so this brings me to one of my main and key points, which is letting go of any guilt. We're letting go of any guilt that you may have about investing in yourself. So literally doing anything that has to do with self-care. Feeling guilty for spending dollars to better yourself, gain more education, a book on Amazon. All of these things are to grow you, to educate you, to pour water and sunlight and all of these things into you as a person that's only going to make you flourish and thrive and grow. So this whole mental mindset, which is just a story of like, I can't afford that, I don't want to take this money away from my kids, is actually the opposite. You investing properly in the right things that actually bring you joy, things that bring you education, are investing in your family tenfold and investing in your children tenfold. So the first thing that needs to be done is that you need to shed any guilt that you have about really honoring yourself in mind, body, and soul. And knowing that that is the best thing that you could do for the financial health and the overall health of your family. Just letting all of that guilt go. Letting all of that guilt go. And inside of Birth Your Biz, which is an 8-week group immersion, I will lead you on how to actually let that go. Because it's one thing to hear me say, oh, Alexa, what do you mean? Like, let this go. Great. It's out of my mind. But really, like, how to create actual change around it. And so there's one module inside Birth Your Biz that is all about rewriting your money story. And it's so, so, so important for you, no matter what income level you are at, no matter what income level you desire, no matter where you are, it is so important for you to familiarize yourself with your money story, because we all have some conscious patterns that are at play. I mean, I could tell you this, like, you hear the words dirty money, right? You hear all the time about like criticism or scrutinizing somebody that has more money and what they should be paying to this and what they shouldn't be doing with their money. Like, people have opinions all of a sudden if there's like a large amount of money of what this individual should do with it, right? So people in television shows, all these things, what happens when someone gets money? Things go bad, right? So people are fearful of you may be fearful of making more money because you're like, what will my family think about this? Or people are going to come come out of the woodworks and ask me for money, or I don't know, my friends haven't, made this in their life, so what makes me think that I can? And so these are the little stories that are at play inside of our minds that inside Birth Your Biz, I will lead you into literally pulling them out like weeds and letting them go. And it's not just words, it's actually action packed behind that. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is that we have to be financially educated. And what I mean by that is know your numbers. Know your numbers. If you're at a place where you're a stay-at-home mom, that's a beautiful, amazing thing. And your husband or your partner is the breadwinner, amazing. That works for your family. That's great. Is it something that you're just bypassing where it's like, oh, I'm not really quite sure, how much our mortgage is, or I don't really know what bills are due at what time, or even what our income is. Know your numbers cold, whether you're running the numbers for your family, your home, your household, or you're looking to aspire to run or do run your business. Know your numbers. And again, that is a whole other module inside of Birth Your Biz that I will break down from an energetic standpoint, but also from like a very logical mind standpoint of why that matters. There's a very famous saying that says, you don't have a business if you don't know your numbers. And that is the same thing that's true with your household. Think of your household as a little business. And I love teaching about this and bringing awareness to this because when I was a general manager, a huge part of my job was finances, budgeting, forecasting, looking over what was going on, what was coming in, what was going out. And there was a big part of me when I was first coming up in my career that I was like, I'm more of like the marketer, event planner. I don't really want to, spend time on this. And it's a necessity of the business. You cannot continue to do marketing events if it's not driving revenue. You cannot continue to do XYZ in your business if it's not driving revenue. You cannot continue to have XYZ habits in your household if it's a detriment to your finances and to your budget. And so it's so super, super, super important. So important to do that. So not only that, the other thing that's really inspired me to talk about in this conversation is children. So we think to ourselves, I'm going to have guilt because this side hustle of mine is going to be, taking away from the presence I have with my kids. And I am going to tell you again that this topic is addressed inside Birth Your Biz. There is no other course group immersion like this on the market because I actually understand what it is to integrate your children into the working world. It's not just a business coach that's like, I don't have any children, which is great if that's what they choose. But like there is a certain type of tenderness, a certain type of way to handle a mother and her motherly roles in addition to her business roles. And so to think of these two things as separate no longer serves you. These are actually integrated. And how are you going to bring your children into this work to inspire them? And actually you working on your passion and working at what fuels you is actually what fueling your children. And so it's not either or, it's together. One of my daughters has not been feeling well all week. And so I've been caring for her. She's been at home with me all week long. And I just put her to bed before this. And I told her where I was going. I was going into my office. I was going to do some work. And on the way out, she said to me, I hope that you have a lovely time doing your work, Mom. So she connotates me doing my work as having a lovely time. And I think that's so awesome because, 9.9 times out of 10, my daughter's going to have a career. My daughters are going to be in the working world. And I want them to have the connotation that they're going to have a lovely, lovely time at work. And so when she said that to me tonight, it just brought this huge smile to my face that here we are inspiring our next generation about what it means to love the work that you do. And there was a post that I saw on Instagram tonight about a 5-year-old girl that just formulated her own LLC and had a candle company. And I think that is so cool. So what a better way to transform the dynamic, the paradigm of like, oh, my 3 months of maternity leave is up. I have to go back to working for, the man. I have to go back to working to my corporate job like right away. And it's like, I'm jolted out of this like motherly haven and stripped from my mothering. I'm jolted and I'm put back into this like, structured corporate, this is the way it has to be. And yet here's a 5-year-old that's, hand pouring, wax candles. And that is a skill set that she's going to have for the rest of her life. And she's going to learn how to make money at 5 years old. So when she's 30, 35, 40, whatever it is that she chooses to have a child, she will know how to do it. It's already there. She's already laid the foundation down. But how to tap into that. What are her backstock, her savings? She's built all of that before she's had the child, and she doesn't have to go back into a situation she doesn't want to go into because she's already created that for herself. And so I think it's so inspiring and so empowering for a mom to be working their passion to show their children that they could do this too, and that they could start years before we started, right? So it's not this either or, it's this integration. It's this, togetherness. And again, we will go through this all inside of Birth Your Biz, and you will get one-on-one group coaching because things are going to pop up. You're going to feel nervous or scared or like, that doesn't, this doesn't apply to me. I'm not going to be able to do this. But we are here to shatter that reality and to shatter that mindset. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. The next thing that we are going to talk about tonight is the fact that you could be a little bit panicked of like, I've been in this role for this amount of time. This has been my identity. Who even am I once I have a child and I no longer go back to this, this role, this corporate role that I had that I identified with for so long? Who am I? What purpose do I have? Well, your goddess purpose is as a mother in all of its forms, the archetype of mother, the loving gentleness, strong, structured, holding, expanding, creating, beautiful archetype role career that motherhood is. And in addition to that, you are whoever it is that you want to be. There's no longer this thing that you're either or, mother or creator, mother or artist, mother or CEO. No, you are mother and creator, mother and artist, mother and CEO, all at the same time. And so you have passions. You have things that you're really good at that you can turn into money-making skills. You could turn into a business. And sometimes you can get tripped up about what your passion is and what you're really meant to do. I am here to help guide you on that. I am here for you to tap into your passion so strongly that you know absolutely this is who I am, but most importantly, this is who I'm meant to serve in the world, and this is how I'm going to make the world a better place, and this is how I'm going to change the paradigm of the world. You see where I'm going with this? Like, I am so passionate about this, and anytime that some mom, expresses to me that their want to like go part-time, or I see the Instagram stories about the juggles of like working a full-time corporate career and then like jumping in at home and like being a full-time mom, and how like you're stretched in a million different directions. And it's like, yeah, we're being stripped of our motherhood. And we are being told that we have to do something that we don't. And it's time for us to wake up and to realize that we actually have the power and always had, and to turn on that motherly wisdom and to utilize it in multiple ways. Another story that I would want to share, it's coming up as relevant, is my daughters go to a beautiful school, and I have the privilege of attending a parent and child class with each of them. But right now I'm in with my youngest, and it's a beautiful time of connection and just like total beauty that I'll talk about another time. But oftentimes the moms talk after the class is over, and we just talk about life and what's going on. And a few months ago, a mom shared that her really good friend had recently had a baby, and she works in New York City in banking, and that she never sees the baby until the weekend, and that she's up on the train before the baby is awake, and she gets home after the baby goes to sleep. And I just felt, and I still feel like in my whole body like this, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that that mother is being stripped of mothering. I'm so sorry to hear that that baby is being stripped of a love that only a mother can give. And this person is obviously dedicated, obviously smart, obviously is capable and successful. And more times than not, especially if like we're in the world of banking, like we're making money for another company in the roles that you have, whether it is that you're a direct sales role or you're indirectly, all of that leads to the bottom line. And so if you're spending this time and this energy working for another corporation, can you just rewire your brain for a second to think, how can I flip this script and how can I do this for myself? You know, like it dawned on me, like when I had a sales quota, which was pretty large, I realized that I was easily paying back my salary. And then on top of it, you know, more so. And so once you start like actually looking at it like a little bit backwards and like putting the puzzle pieces together, you're like, oh, okay, well, this is how they're successful. I just paid for myself and now I'm giving them more money by working here. So, you know, yes, there is a fear about leaving a bi-monthly paycheck and like the consistency of it all. But at the same time, isn't there a fear of not having freedom and not being in control of your own life and your own schedule and all of the above? And so what better reason, what more empowerment than for you to turn on this, you know, flip this switch and say, you know, what is possible for me? What am I capable of? And how do I do all of this? So those are like some really, 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 really key pillar points of, you know, conversation and foundation that I wanted to talk about today. And I have something like starred, circled in my journal, which is motherhood is an opportunity to create wealth in alignment with your values. Motherhood is an opportunity to create wealth in alignment with your values. Remembering that, taking that into all of your cells and all of your being, right? So we talked about, you know, entrepreneurship and how that will positively impact your children, your family, how investing yourself, your education, your growth will positively impact you. So we're living in scarcity if we're thinking, oh, I can't join Birth Your Biz because like that's too much money. You know, I that's more money than, you know, I feel comfortable spending. Well, what if that investment that you made, you will make back five times, 10 times? What if that will change the trajectory of your entire life? Is that too much at that point? Or is that something that you're going to say, oh, absolutely, I'm all in on that? You know, so it starts right there in the mindset. It starts right there in the mindset of like, what am I investing into and what am I choosing not to? And what makes sense for me and what doesn't? So, you know, food for thought, something to think about. Another thing is that we cover in Birth Your Biz is selling versus servicing. And I know there's a lot of fear around selling. I know there's a lot of fear about showing up on Instagram Live and, you know, putting your face in general on social media and, you know, talking and doing all that sort of stuff. And so we are literally going to put the light on you inside of Birth Your Biz. And so you get so comfortable with it that it's not even a thing anymore. But the whole point of all of this is to unlock the truth that you have always been the best marketer. You have always been the best marketer as a mother. Think about it. You talk to your friends. This is the best baby shampoo I could ever have. You add to cart on Amazon. It's at your house the next day. You talk to your friends about your teenage, you know, children. Oh, you know, Xander had an amazing time at this summer camp. It was the best ever. The coaches were amazing. Okay, you enroll your child in. So that's how the summer camp, you know, has natural marketing because of mothers. And so to think that you can't naturally market your own self and your business is a falsity. And so we will walk through all of that and get you super comfortable having a conversation with fellow moms at a coffee shop or a parent meetup or in a Facebook group about what it is that you do and why it's impactful and, you know, why it matters to them. Yeah. So really that is like the lion's share of what I wanted to talk about today. There is going to be so much more on this topic. And I'm going to end it off with saying that we cannot do these things without community. We cannot do these things without support. And this is integrating not only into my Birth Your Biz offering, but also into the Abundant Moms offering. Because Abundant Moms is founded on of the village mentality. And we've heard about the village mentality and about in the yesteryear, we were all together in these tight knit communities, and your great aunt watched your baby and your mother watched your baby and your grandmother watched your baby and your cousin did and like the neighbor did. And like everybody was around and as a village raising these children and also raising the mothers. But nowadays, because of this work, this grind, this, you know, work over family mindset that we have, especially in the US, our families are now, discombobulated in a sense that like somebody took a job on the West Coast, somebody took a job, in the Southeast, somebody's in the Northeast. And so where is the family unit? Where are we relying and being able to surrender into community to support our children and ourselves in that time of need? And so Abundant Moms is that golden web of community, is that connection point where we can come together in a different way in a virtual platform and really be there for each other energetically and knowing what each other are going through, but also as a resource point that we can look out to one another and go, oh, wow, that's right. I really did need that. Oh, wow, that's right. I really could benefit from hearing those words, or you were in the same place as I was. And this is the resource I tapped into when I didn't have family living in the area. So community, taking away your career, is hugely important in motherhood alone, period. And on top of that, community when you're a mother in business is also hugely, hugely, hugely important. Think about, I always talk about this all the time, that there are athletes that you see all the time on the television. They did not get there alone. They have one coach, multiple coaches that you don't see on TV that are running with them or on the football field with them. But make no mistake, they are in their ear, they're in their mind, they're in their heart, they're training with them on all the behind the scenes times. And so that is the same essence in a motherhood and business, is that there is a mentorship that is required when you are a mom in business, because no one else knows it quite like you do. And a mother only can understand where a fellow mother is at when they're birthing their babies and they're birthing their new creations. And so it is imperative that we surround ourselves with community and around people that are doing what it is that we aspire to do. And we're letting go of many, many, many things during this conversation, but we're letting go of this whole jealousy, this like, that person is exactly what I want to be doing in my business, or they have this amount of followers, or, I can't believe that they're there and I'm here. There's no room for that anymore in this new paradigm that we're creating. What that is an aspiration. Wow, I aspire to be where she is. Wow, look at how many followers she has. Wow. Look at this business that she's created for myself. If she could do it, it's possible for me. And we're going to be in the same rooms as one another and encouraging each other, no matter where we are in this stage of businesshood and this stage of motherhood, to say, I was once there, here I am. I'm going to fast track you here. I was once there, here I am. I'm going to need support. Or I was up here, but now I feel down here. Can you help me? Can you boost me up? And so that is the importance of surrounding yourself with a sisterhood, with a motherhood community, with a career person's community, because we are all in this together and only get sharper and stronger and more expanded when we learn from each other. There's many, many successful business people that always talk about that they never want to be the smartest person in the room. They always want to be learning off of another person. They always want to have that extra edge. And so the same is true for you, don't isolate yourself. Instead, jump into the pool. And it may feel uncomfortable, or how do I even introduce myself, or what is it that I'm even doing here and I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. Just jump into the pool, because the world needs you. The world needs your business that you want to birth or that you've birthed expanded. The world needs your mothership. The world needs your present motherhood. We need the most important role. We're creating the future generation of our world. There is no job that's more important than that. We need you present and thriving in all of those areas. And so we can and we will do this together. This is how we shift the paradigm. One conversation at a time, one action point at a time, showing up for yourself, integrating your children, knowing your numbers, letting go of any guilt or shame that you feel about investing in yourself, joining community, servicing by speaking about what it is that you do, what it is that others do, that spread that ripple. All of these things, all of these topics we cover inside Birth Your Biz. So you are that much more set up and have a strong foundation for when you enter into the world as the mother CEO that you are, integrated. The passionate, thriving, flourishing mother CEO that your children aspire and look up to, and that you have and receive the money and the income that you feel good about, and you contribute to yourself and your family in really, really good ways. And all of this is possible because this is the new way. So if you have any questions about any of the offerings that I've mentioned tonight, Birth Your Biz, Abundant Moms, I have a couple other things that are like trickling around as well. Please, you can always DM me, you can always email me, and you can always check out my website to learn more. It is so amazing sharing this space with you, and I know that you're meant to be here because simply you are. You've made it all the way to the end of this video, and that means a lot. That carries a lot of weight for you. So I send you on your path in love and in light. I'm Alexa, and I will see you so soon.